Welcome to this explainer, where today we are unpacking a feeling that, let's be honest, almost all of us know way too well. Picture this. You're walking into a crowded room. Maybe it's a party, maybe a networking event, or even just a massive family gathering. And suddenly, bam, your heart starts pounding. Your palms get super sweaty. You just feel small, awkward, and completely out of place. It is this deeply relatable, everyday struggle that can feel literally paralyzing in the moment. But what if I told you there's a deeply rooted biological and even mythological reason for this intense panic? Well, today we're going to dive right into the everyday monsters we face and discover how the surprisingly simple act of paying attention can actually help you master all that chaos.
So why on earth does walking into a casual party feel like facing down a terrifying monster? Look, if your heart races in these situations, you need to know something right now. You are not going crazy. According to the psychological framework we're exploring today, that party isn't just a party. It actually acts as an active domain of evaluation. The second you step into that room, it feels immensely threatening because your brain perceives that this collective group is constantly, actively judging you. You aren't just casually mingling, you're essentially facing down a many-headed beast that is just waiting to expose your flaws. Now, the absolutely crucial thing to understand here is exactly why that judgment feels so incredibly high stakes. And this is where we have to talk about the dominance hierarchy. It's a deeply, deeply ingrained psychological and biological system. When you walk into any social situation, you're essentially confronting what psychologists call the dragon of chaos, the completely unpredictable unknown. Society, and honestly nature itself, is evaluating your standing. A negative judgment from the group pushes you lower down the dominance hierarchy, and in the grand scheme of biology and human evolution, falling down that hierarchy directly threatens your social and even biological success. So you feel anxious because on a very primal level, you are being harshly evaluated for your survival. When we feel like we're scraping the bottom of that hierarchy, staring down a tyrant, our biology just completely takes over. Think about what happens on the outside. We adopt a posture of submission. We instinctively hunch over, we avoid eye contact, basically broadcasting to the entire room, hey, I am no threat here. Which, is a pretty logical survival tactic if you're actually standing before a volatile king. But contrast that physical submissiveness with the complete internal chaos happening at exactly the same time. While your body is trying its absolute hardest to be invisible, your mind is screaming. You're trapped in this hypercritical internal monologue of racing thoughts, sweating, and just agonizing over looking foolish. And right here, this is the ultimate trap of social anxiety. It is all completely self-focused. When you're caught in that intense grip of social panic, every single thing you are experiencing in that exact moment is directed entirely inward. Am I looking stupid right now? Am I sweating too much? What are they thinking about me? You are literally trapped inside your own head. Your awareness of the actual outside world just shuts down because you are entirely consumed by your internal performance. And as we're going to see, that inward focus is the exact mechanism that keeps you paralyzed. So naturally, what do we tell ourselves, or, what do our well-meaning friends tell us when we're panicking? Just stop thinking about yourself. Seriously, stop worrying. But we all know that absolutely never works. It's the classic psychological loop of the white elephant. If I tell you right now, don't think of a white elephant, what immediately pops into your mind? A white elephant. You cannot simply command a socially anxious mind to turn off its self-focus. If you try to force yourself to stop thinking about how awkward you feel, your brain just loops that exact awkwardness endlessly. Which brings us to the brilliantly simple antidote to this agonizing loop. If you can't force yourself to stop looking inward, what on earth do you do instead? Well, you look at other people. You have to actively, intentionally shift your attention entirely outward. Now, I know it sounds almost too simple to be true, but this is the functional key to breaking the cycle of anxiety. You have to stop trying to monitor your own awkwardness, stop trying to control your internal temperature, and start closely observing the actual people around you. The mechanics of why this outward shift actually works are just fascinating. See, unless someone has literally never been taught basic social skills, most people, even highly neurotic or deeply introverted people, have the inherent ability to converse. When you push your attention entirely away from yourself and onto others, an amazing thing happens. By watching them intently, you can actually start to tell what they are thinking. You're engaging with reality instead of your own internal nightmare. And when you do that, your brain's automatic social procedures naturally kick in. You stop actively trying to be social, and you let your natural, ingrained conversational mechanisms take the wheel. Let's apply this outward focus to one of the most terrifying social scenarios out there, public speaking. Here is an incredibly practical hack derived directly from this whole theory. Step 1. You have to acknowledge that the group does not actually exist as a single coherent organism that you can talk to. Step 2. Speak directly to one single individual in that crowd. Just pick one. Step 3. Let that individual reflect the entire group's reactions back to you. When you look at one person, they broadcast what everyone in the room is thinking, because a crowd generally reacts as a single unit. And hey, you already know how to talk to one person. By focusing your attention entirely on that one face, addressing an entire crowd suddenly becomes manageable, natural, and remarkably easy. The absolutely crucial point here is understanding what goes wrong when we fail to do this. If you are stuck in your own head, staring at the floor, or staring blankly into space, you are missing all these subtle social cues of the person you're actually with. You have no idea what they're going to do or say next, and because of that, you end up inserting bad chords in the melody of conversation. When you aren't paying outward attention, the natural rhythm of human interaction is completely ruined. So the crazy thing is, the awkwardness you fear so much actually becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, simply because you weren't watching the person right in front of you. Now, this elevates way beyond just a neat conversation trick into the realm of deep biology and mythology. Enter the eye. The eye represents our supreme capacity to pay attention. It figuratively sits at the very top of the pyramid of human capability. Paying absolute, unwavering attention to the world around you is the ultimate tool for navigating chaos. It is literally the exact mechanism that enables you to climb and win within any dominance hierarchy you encounter, because attention is what allows you to adapt, to respond, and ultimately, to survive. And this brilliant insight? It isn't just modern psychology, it is ancient wisdom. The Egyptians worshipped Horus, who was represented as a falcon, a creature with, you guessed it, incredible vision. In their mythology, it was Horus, the literal embodiment of the capacity to pay supreme, unblinking attention, that actually rescued his father Osiris from the terrifying depths of the underworld. The ancients understood thousands of years ago that the sheer power of focused outward attention is literally what saves us from chaos, from anxiety, and from the depths of our own despair. So, if we have this incredible tool of attention, what exactly are we supposed to focus it on? Well, we have to confront the anomalies. The human brain, specifically your right hemisphere, is naturally wired to act as an alarm system for what isn't going quite right in your environment. When something in a room feels uncomfortable, awkward, or just a little off, it instantly attracts your attention. And instead of hiding from it, you must focus directly on those awkward moments. You have to face the terrible monster that might eat you, because looking directly at the threat is the only way to extract all the necessary information you need to actually overcome it. Which brings us to the extreme but incredibly rewarding conclusion of outward attention. There's a saying, it's always the terrible predator that has the gold. It's the person who delivers the message you do not want to hear. This applies directly to how we interact with our harshest critics or even our enemies. The most valuable information you can ever gather in life often comes from the very people or situations that terrify you the most, precisely because they point out your true vulnerabilities. Now let's be totally clear here. Your enemies will absolutely tell you things about yourself that are completely untrue. They might call you a fool for completely unfair reasons. But here's the secret to getting the gold from the predator. Extract the truth and leave the lies behind. If you are paying absolute outward attention, you might catch one incredibly accurate, painful critique hidden deep in their attack. And if you fix that one thing, you never have to carry that weakness forward again. You become smarter and stronger, all because you chose to pay attention instead of retreating inward to protect your ego. Look, life is rough. There is absolutely no denying that. The social hierarchies we have to navigate every day can feel absolutely monstrous. But as we've explored throughout this explainer, you are already equipped with the ultimate tool to master it, your outward attention. So I want to leave you with this final question to think about. If you finally stopped looking inward, dropped that agonizing self-focus, and paid absolute, unwavering attention to the chaos around you, what life-changing truth would you discover today? Next time you walk into a crowded room and your heart starts racing, remember Horus. Don't look inward, look out. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.